I got my hypocritical dorm leader fired, cost him his scholarship, and watched his life crumble. And it all started because he called the cops on me for taking a single shot of vodka. But the best part? I sealed his fate using his own words. When I first got to college, I met my dorm leader, the upperclassman who lives in the dorms and monitors the freshman halls. His name was Marco. And at first, he seemed like a decent guy who minded his own business. He made a point of telling us he'd stay out of our business if we stayed out of his. To seem relatable, he'd always bring up how he drank tons of alcohol in the dorms during his freshman year, trying to project this image of the cool dorm leader. He gave off the strong impression that he wouldn't care if we drank, as long as we kept it on the down low. I didn't even drink much, but I appreciated that he seemed normal and wasn't looking to get students in trouble. That all changed during the last week of October of my freshman year, which was one of the most brutal academic weeks I'd ever had. As a biochemistry major, I was swamped with tough classes and had 3 major exams that week alone. By the end of it, a new friend from down the hall invited me over to watch an NBA game and unwind. While we watched, he pulled out a bottle of vodka and offered some to the few guys in the room. Being a naive freshman just trying to fit in, I took one shot and went back to the game. Later, one of the guys accidentally spilled a soda and rushed to the bathroom for paper towels, leaving the door ajar. Just then, Marco walked by and spotted the bottle of vodka on the desk. He just chuckled and said something like, "I remember when I was a freshman. Haha. Just try and keep it down, guys." We thanked him and wished him a good night, thinking nothing of it. 30 minutes later, there was a sharp knock on the door. It was 2 police officers, holding breathalyzers. They stated they'd received a complaint from Marco about underage drinking and a party. A party. It was just 3 of us watching a Lakers game on a Thursday night. I blew a 0-2 and ended up with a minor in consumption charge, 20 hours of community service, a mandatory reflection journal, and a meeting with the university's Judicial Affairs Center about my supposed drinking problem. It's just as some have pointed out online, having to do 20 hours of community service on top of the stress from difficult classes absolutely sucks. I wasn't mad at the officer, but I was furious with Marco. The guy who bragged about getting wasted in the dorms his freshman year had just given us a nod of approval before immediately calling the cops. A few weeks later, I confronted him and asked him why he ratted me out instead of just telling me to go back to my room if he had an issue. He looked me dead in the eye and responded, word for word, "With you made a decision and had to suffer the consequences of that decision." He said those words to me with such smug finality, completely unaware that a year later, that exact same sentence would come back to seal his own fate. I moved off campus for my sophomore year and joined a fraternity, where I met some genuinely good guys. During the spring semester, my fraternity was taking in a new pledge class. One day, I get a text out of the blue from Marco. It read, "One of the guys pledging your fraternity has been caught dealing alcohol to another freshman in the dorms. I thought I would let you know." It turned out Marco was now the dorm leader for a freshman pledging my fraternity and had ratted him out. 2. The term "dealing alcohol" was so absurdly lame that I screenshotted it and sent it to my fraternity's group chat, where everyone had a good laugh. It really showed what kind of person Marco was, an insecure guy trying to look cool with his stories of past drinking. But in reality, just a loser who got a power trip from busting kids for the same thing. A week later, the pledge in question approached me. He explained that Marco had found out he'd given another student a bottle of wine and promptly reported it. The kid got a minor in possession charge and was hauled into judicial affairs. But this is where the story gets good. During his meeting, the pledge told the judicial affairs officer that his dorm leader, Marco, had texted me, a third party, about the pending charges against him. Apparently, discussing a resident's pending disciplinary case with anyone outside the official process is a massive violation of university policy. The officer told the pledge that if he could prove it, Marco would face severe sanctions. All I had to do was forward the text message. So I did. That very night, I sent the screenshot to the Judicial Affairs Office. Months went by, and I honestly forgot about the whole thing. Then, near the end of the school year, I saw Marco in the dining hall, and he beelined straight for me. He launched into this story about how he knew I was the one who reported him, how he was fired from his dorm leader position, how he lost the scholarship money that came with the job, and how miserable his life had been ever since. He looked desperate, his voice cracking as he recounted his downfall. After finishing his sob story, he looked at me pleadingly and asked, "Why did you do that? This could have been handled completely differently. I didn't have to get fired." I let his question hang in the air. I just stared him down, dead in the eye, for what felt like a full 30 seconds, letting him squirm. I saw the memory flicker in his eyes as he started to realize. Then, I leaned in slightly and said, "Marco, you made a decision and had to suffer the consequences of that decision. The story's lesson is simple: hypocrisy is a dangerous game. And the same standards you hold others to will eventually be applied to you. What goes around truly does come around. So, what would you have done? Would you have let it go? Or do you think Marco got exactly what he deserved?"